right, we're back for episode 2, Timothy, the Power of Biblical Manhood. And I'm Matt Bonnette, and
I'm Rob Lambert.
And we are excited to be back with you. We hope that you listened into the last episode, and so this is episode 2. And can you believe we're doing we're doing a second one now.
We're doing a second one, man.
I didn't know how the first one would go.
I know.
But I guess it went okay.
I guess we'll find out if somebody will watch it.
Are they going to watch this again?
Right.
Are they going to watch episode 2? But for this episode, we're going to answer a huge question. All right. And that question is, what does biblical manhood actually look like? Mm-hmm. All right. And how do we model it? Because that's what we're talking about. We have our key verse in 1 Timothy. All right, don't forget, our first series of episodes are going to come from my book called MANCARD, and I hope you've got your copy or will get your copy. But you could follow along with us each week. You get those copies on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or you can even contact me, and I can get you one sent out. But also, we've already said that these man cards, I brought one for this episode. That way you can see it. But the front of it has our verse on it. And then the back of it has got the 5 principles that we need to be living by, that we're modeling, that we're making an impact on people. And then on the back side, you'll also be able to sign your commitment to God. It's not a commitment you're signing to your wife or your friend or your family. It's a commitment that you sign to God. Mm-hmm. And we'll give you one of these. And hopefully by the end of our series, you'll be joining with us, and we'll have a little time where we sign these commitments. Rob had a great idea on the last episode, so we'll get you that card. But you got to go to our website. You'll be able to reach me from it. Just go to mancard.life. It'll have the ways to view us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple, and we'll make sure you get set up. But we're doing episode 2 here. What does biblical manhood actually look like? Because our culture has a lot to say about masculinity, right?
Right.
I mean, some people think that manhood is you got to be aggressive. Some people think you got to be emotionless. You got to flex your muscles every now and then. You got to be dominant. And I would say that most people think you got to be a little prideful, as well. But others, masculinity, they think that it's toxic, right? Have you heard that?
Yes.
They think toxic masculinity. That's not what we're about. Mm-mm. We want to know what the Bible says about masculinity and how we can help you, men, to becoming a better man. And again, I want to say this. Ladies, don't tune us out.
No, please don't.
This is as much for you as it is for men, because you get to walk with us as we talk about what it means to be a biblical man. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to get to understand men just a little bit better if you're listening to this podcast. So please, ladies, do not tone us out. I hope you're also subscribing to this podcast, and I promise you'll learn some more through this. So, but going back to our topic, all right? So what we've just said about masculinity and what our culture says, that does not reflect what Scripture says.
Not at all.
And so before we can go any further, we're going to have to define what biblical manhood really is, okay? And I would say it goes all the way back. Biblical manhood is God's original design.
Amen.
100%.
Yes.
Okay? It's not, biblical manhood is not what the culture says it is. It's what God says it is. And it starts all the way back in creation. Genesis 1:27, here's what it says. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And so God created men and women equally, with the same value, with the same dignity, but we have distinctly different roles.
Right.
And so that's something that I'm sure you've taught, I've taught before. Adam was created with a purpose. He was created with responsibility. But what I like to talk about a lot of times, he was created with the responsibility of stewardship as well. God, that's our model for stewardship, is what God gave to Adam to work the ground and take care of it. And so he was given work, he was given leadership, and he was given accountability. And so, and then in Genesis 2:15, it says, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work and keep it. And so Adam was placed in that garden to work it, to keep it, to do what God designed him as a man to do.
That's right.
And so this carries the idea of cultivating and protecting. Biblical manhood involves responsibility, like I've said. And a man was not created to be some passive, can I say sissy?
Better watch it.
I know, I better watch it. Okay. But again, that's not God's design. God's design is very clear from his word. And then I love this verse. I know you do too. 1 Corinthians 16:13. It says, be watchful, stand firm, act like men, and be strong.
Yep.
All right. And so this verse says a lot. I don't know. We don't have time to unpack this verse in this episode, but when it says act like men, it carries the idea of courage under pressure. That's
Right.
kind of what I'm thinking. You know,
We're a soldier.
yes. Yeah.
I mean,
That's right.
You know,
We are soldiers. That's correct. And so men have to have spiritual courage. They got to stand up for what is right.
right.
They got to stand up, stand firm on the truth of God's word. And we've got to, as men, refuse to compromise. You know, I love what you said last time that, you know, there's one thing as a single man now that you're not compromising on. And I love that. What is that? Say that again.
I want to be a good example for my son and not have women coming in and out. I'm going to save myself for if there is a next marriage.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right. I love that. You know, that's what God said, do not compromise. Nothing. We're protectors of our family. We need to lead them spiritually. And I'm you know what? I wish I could say that I do everything perfectly, but my wife and my kids will tell you I don't. All right, here's a story. Okay. I think Melissa told you this on the drive up. All right. My daughters, they're grown now and they're out of the house, 27 and 23 maybe, or they might be older than that, 28 and 24. I forget. They're going to shoot me later. But anyway, they grew up with a totally different dad.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have much, I still don't have much, but I didn't have much, and I was hard. I was hard on them. I definitely didn't act like a biblical man. And so my son, he comes along, I can't say that I was at first, but I don't know. Something has changed in my life. I really take this role of being a biblical man a little more seriously. I'm trying to. I want to be this spiritual leader. And so with my son, all right, my daughters say they're growing up with a different man.
Yeah, that's what she said. Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's funny because in the car ride the other day, and I'll tell you what I did to have this response, but my daughter was in the car.
$14 sandwich.
Yeah. So, we
one.
went and on the way home, we're eating at Zaxby's, okay? And my son's not eating. I'm like, are you not hungry? I don't like this place. What do you mean? We've eaten at Zaxby's so many times, and you're saying you don't like it's chicken. What kid don't like chicken?
Right.
Okay? And the French fries are good. Okay?
They are.
But he didn't eat, and he wasn't going to eat. And I don't know what it is, but I must have been traumatized as a kid because I remember that I had to eat what was on the plate. Mm-hmm. They weren't fixing me nothing different. And that's how my daughters were raised. I didn't fix them nothing different. But I remember, I don't know why I'm different now, but I must have been traumatized because I didn't want to eat what was fixed because I didn't like liver and onions. Okay? Not as a 10-year-old. I don't like it now. I'm almost 50. And I went to bed hungry. That's not a good feeling. And so I don't want my son to feel that. I don't know why. Why didn't it not matter with my kids? But my daughter said, yeah, we don't have the same dads.
That's what.
And he's like, well, who was your dad? No, biologically we're the same, okay? But I'm a different person now. And so he didn't eat
Who
Zach's.
did Macy come from?
She doesn't look like me. So, but
She's mean. Ooh.
ooh, he's talking about you, girl.
She just ignored me on the phone.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, she's always done that.
Yeah.
When she was 3.
She loves you though.
I hope so.
She loves you though. But what I did is I took him. I said, "What will you eat, son? I mean, I don't want you to go hungry. I mean, it's going to be 7 o'clock before we're going to eat supper, and it's like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock now. You're going to be very hungry by that time. And all he does is eat junk food anyway. I can't get him to eat nothing." And so he said, "Firehouse." So I take him to Firehouse, get him a sandwich. Okay. And you said it was how much?
$14.
Because they told you how much I took my son because he didn't want Zaxby's to go get a $14 sandwich.
Now, I got to tell the rest of the story.
Okay.
They put something on it. They put lettuce and tomato on it, and he doesn't like that.
So everything he gets is plain. All right. Cheeseburgers, plain, everything. And so he wanted a ham and cheese. That was it. Well, he gets it. And I've already started pulling off. And he's looking at it. "Oh, what is this?" That's what I hear in the background. I was like, "Wait a minute. I better not pull out of the parking lot because I'm going to go fix this problem." You know what? I went in there and had them fix that problem. And my daughter said, "I'd have never done that for them. I would have just said, wipe that crap off." So, but I took it in there and I got him a new sandwich. And, I feel so bad when I do this because I went in there with a chip on my shoulder. Do you do that?
Sometimes.
When they mess up your order in a drive-through,
I know it.
and
That's awful,
they're
ain't
being
it?
so nice, but I immediately felt the frustration. And then it was like, don't say nothing. Just have them fix it, And so I had to calm myself. I don't know why I get that way. I had to calm myself down. And I'm glad I didn't have an outburst.
Right.
Because back when I was their dad, I might have had an outburst.
Right. I got you.
But yes, so, I want to lead spiritually. I want to remain faithful because this culture shifts and it's like a wave. But when we're on in God's truth, that's firm. It doesn't wave. It doesn't do anything. And in 1 Timothy 5:8, it says, "But if anyone does not provide for his relatives, and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." All right. So I want to say this: provision is not the same, is not just financial.
Yeah. You hear that, deadbeat guys?
Yes, exactly. All right. It's not the same. It includes spiritual leadership, emotional presence, protection, guidance, consistency. Okay. That's providing,
Right.
not just money. It's providing in a completely different way. And these are traits of a biblical man. Ephesians 5:25 says, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." And Ephesians 5 completely reshapes biblical manhood, reshapes leadership. It puts everything in perspective because husbands are called to love their wives as Christ loved the church. That's not domination, right? We're not to be that guy that stands over a woman. You will do this. You're expecting them to answer everything that you do. I don't want Melissa to, "Can I do this? Is it going to be okay if I ask you?" I don't want, no, that's not my role as a biblical man.
Right.
And so what Paul is saying is that, it requires sacrifice, a biblical man. And so, Jesus did the same. He led by serving. He led by protecting. He led by sacrificing.
What do soldiers do?
Yeah, that's what we do. Lay down one's life, right? That's what Jesus did. That's what he teaches us to do.
Right.
That's what this verse in here in Paul says, that Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her.
Right.
And so that's what biblical men should do, biblical leadership. It's not just about controlling people, all right? It's about taking responsibility for people that God has entrusted us with. And so a biblical man is a man who faithfully accepts God's given responsibility, courageously leads with conviction, and sacrificially serves the people God has entrusted us with. All right. But Timothy, that's who I want us to look at tonight in this episode. All right. So we see some of these qualities that we're talking about developing in his life. Now, I don't believe that Timothy was naturally this fearless person. Do you?
No, I mean, if you think about it, there was a time when Paul was like, don't send me Timothy.
Yeah.
And now he says, send me Timothy, for he's good for the ministry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So evidently there was something happened between them that he became a biblical man through probably what Paul sent him in the letters.
Well, you know what? Let me back up. We're going to talk about, you're talking about John Mark.
Oh, am I?
Yes. You're talking about John Mark. And we're going to get to him next
I'm
episode.
sorry, y'all.
That's okay. That's okay. We're going to talk about him next episode.
He probably did that with Timothy too. He just didn't tell us.
I'm sure he did, because why would he tell Timothy, not to be anxious and not to,
Right.
Why would he try to? We get this this feeling that he needed that extra encouragement. I can't remember the passage right offhand, but that's Paul tells him not to be afraid. So there was something about Timothy. So I don't think he was naturally this fearless person.
No. He probably was a scared young man. He
was. Yeah. How old do you think Timothy was? 20s?
Maybe
30s?
I don't think he was 30.
Yeah, I don't know.
think he was young.
Yeah. We could have a deep conversation with that, but I don't think I'm that smart enough to.
I don't know. I don't think he was too old.
Yeah. But then he had somebody come along, disciple him, challenge him, and
Became a leader in the church, man.
point him to biblical manhood.
Right.
And so we come to understand that biblical manhood is not machoism; it's maturity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about godly character. It's about becoming the kind of man that God has called us to be, 100%. So, who are some people that have invested in you?
Well, I was fixing to say this. I think churches as a whole, not all, do a bad job of discipling young men that are called to preach. And I mean, because what I'm fixing to say is I was already a pastor and there was no pastor building into me.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Until I went to Walker County, and this name, a lot of people know it, Lucky Teague, took me
Great
in
man.
as one of his own, man. And I still miss, man, Lucky's been passed away for a few years now, and I still miss him, man.
Yeah. Because if he wasn't, he'd be a guest on this show.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. But man, he took me in. He taught me things that nobody had ever taught me about pastoring. I'd been a youth guy.
Yeah.
And then I was a pastor and just got thrown in, and back then we think we know everything, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But it wasn't until I got to him and just got quiet and just listened to Lucky.
Yeah.
A lot of wisdom right there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he was awesome.
Yeah.
And, I always say he's the best director of missions I ever had. And I know you had Jeff. Was it Jeff?
Jeff.
Jeff was a great one.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, Lucky was a preacher's preacher, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard him speak several times.
He took up for us, He didn't care if they paid his salary. He was going to take up for us, you know. And, Lucky pastored for years and worked for the New Orleans Seminary.
Yeah.
But, man, his calling was to be that DOM. I really believe that. I know I wouldn't have been the pastor I was if it hadn't have been for Lucky.
Amen. Yeah.
I mean, Lucky, I still remember things he told me, 20 years ago or whatever, and I miss him, man. I miss him bad. Sorry.
No, you're good. You see, biblical men, they can't be afraid to cry. I mean, we thought we were macho, but hey, we could do that, so we can. But, there's all sorts of kind of people that have invested in us. And, my dad has been a big person to invest in me. He taught me how to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
My dad had 2, 3, 4 jobs at a time just to provide for us. And, he was a firefighter and he retired as a firefighter. But while he was doing that with the days off that he had, I remember him working at the Union Mission where we had basketball, games and baseball games and stuff like that. It wasn't the little league type stuff that they had, or but it was for the children's ages and some of the youth ages. And at the mission there was pool tables and lots of stuff. You know what? My dad got a job there because he had to work. He had to make more money. But if he was working there, we could go and we could play and we could hang out. We could spend time with my dad. Yeah. He figured it out. Yeah. And so I believe that's those are the kind of men that pour into us. And, my dad would do anything for me. In fact, I remember in my advanced training as an air traffic controller, my dad drove down to pick me up. That's a 12-hour one-way drive. And it was in January, and it was the biggest blizzard that they'd ever seen. Yeah. I mean, and he drove 12 hours to pick me up in that mess just to take me back home. Yeah. Nonstop, little rest, those are the kind of, those are men. Those are biblical men. I believe is my dad perfect? No. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect, but Lucky probably wasn't perfect. Probably dang near close, but yeah.
Yeah. One time, me and Lucky, he said, "Hey, I'm doing this." We was living in Walker County. He goes, "I'm doing this revival over in Boaz." I said, "You ought to come over there with me one night." I was like, "Sure." And both me and Lucky were diabetic, right?
Okay.
And so we go over there, and he preaches, and hey, they said, "Hey, we want you to come do our next revival, Rob."
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So on the way back, two diabetics, right? Lucky goes, "You thirsty?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Let's stop and get us a water and some, maybe some peanuts or something, And we come out of there with Diet Mountain Dew and 12 Krispy Kreme lemon-filled donuts.
Oh, man.
And I'll never forget, Lucky looks at me, and he's got the lemon stuff all over his mouth, and he looks at me driving, he goes, "When I get to heaven, I'm going to ask God, why did he make Krispy Kreme donuts terrible for you, but taste so good, and broccoli tastes like mess, and it's good for you?"
That's right. I'm so mad about that. There was a time, at Krispy Kreme donut, I prayed, God, if you don't want me in there, don't provide a parking spot.
Yeah.
I finally went around that building about 10 times before there was, so I got my donuts.
I used to say at the one in Tuscaloosa, I used to say, "Now, Lord, if that hot sign's on, I know I got to go in."
Exactly.
So let it be off. Well, he never did do that. Yeah,
you know
it's
what?
Always on.
Their donuts, the best ones, are not all that filled stuff. To me, it's the regular.
The regulars are good. Yeah. I'll eat them all.
I would.
I might go in a coma now.
I don't like lemon. I don't know what it is about lemon filling. I do.
I'll never forget. Lucky had that lemon filling all over, sipping that Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah, and having to shoot up with some diabetic medicine.
Yeah, we was popping glucophage like painkillers.
Oh man! So yeah, these guys invested in us, and so a lot about what we're talking about tonight in this episode is it's the burden behind my book, for MANCARD. The idea was simple: what marks should identify a godly man? What are they? And one reason that Timothy is such an important example, I believe, is, he didn't grow up with a strong biblical father.
No, he didn't.
He didn't have a father to lead him spiritually. And so I believe there's a lot of men out there like that today.
Yes.
They didn't grow up with a spiritual father. And, so I hope this speaks to them. I hope they can learn something from this. And, maybe their dad hasn't been present, maybe he was present. He just wasn't, he was there physically. He wasn't there spiritually like they need. Because, hey, there was a season in my life I wasn't there. I wasn't the spiritual leader, and I was in ministry. Right. There's no way you would, that my family would say I was a spiritual leader. So we go through those seasons, all right? And so, maybe somebody hasn't showed you what it is to be a biblical man. I hope you can learn something from this podcast. Yeah. Not just this episode, but all of our episodes. This is what it's geared to. Again, it's the burden behind my book. I'd really love for you to get it. But, Timothy lived this reality. He understood what it was. And so a little bit of background information on Timothy. So we've already said he was a younger man. We don't know how old. We know he was, I would say 20s, for sure. I don't think he was a youth or anything like that. I think he was an adult age, but I do think he was young.
Well, he wasn't considered an adult until he was 30.
Oh.
Remember that now.
Okay.
Remember, Jesus didn't start his ministry until he became an adult at 30.
At 30. Okay.
So he might have just been...
He was on that cuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So this is his time that he would be learning how to be the man.
That's right.
You know?
And that's when Paul came into his life, that first missionary journey. So, but, again, I think we can take a little bit of...
and John Mark.
He was potentially a timid person at first. I don't think he always was. Again, he had an unbelieving father. You know who raised him and taught him the Bible? His mother and grandmother.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, his mother and grandmother, and then Paul became a spiritual father and mentor to him. And so God brought Paul into Timothy's life to shape him, to teach him, to disciple him, to challenge him, and to call him higher. And that's where we come to our verse in 1 Timothy 4:12. Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believer an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, in purity. And so, I want everybody listening, going through this podcast, to memorize that verse. Yeah. Memorize that verse. And there's a key phrase in it that I love. And hopefully by the next episode, I'm going to have a sign that's up here instead of the flag. I love the flag. Okay. I love it. But it's about this verse. And so I'll probably have it up here by our next episode. And there's a phrase, set the believer an example. All right. And that word example is a Greek word. It's tupos. All right. And that word tupos means to make an imprint, to make an impression, to make an impact. And the idea comes from the ancient way of making coins, where they would have their mold and then they would stamp it by hammering it into whatever the gold or silver or whatever it is they were trying to stamp. And so this is where that impression that is talking about. And so Paul wasn't just telling Timothy here to act nice.
Right.
He was saying make a strong impression on everyone in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. And so, tupos is kind of the premise behind every episode that we're going to do. Because we want men to make a biblical impact. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that kind of sounds like God keeps hitting us over the head with something. As men,
That's right.
Are y'all not getting this? Bam! I'm going to have to hit you again to mold you into what you're needing to be. Sometimes being molded hurts.
It does. Yeah.
Because you got to give up stuff that you like.
That's right. That
may not be biblical.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
You may have to give up things that you think are good, but they're not for you. And
Absolutely.
so, that hurts.
Yep. Yeah. I've been knocked up beside the head by God a bunch.
Yes. Yeah. I got God concussions, Yeah.
I can't say that I don't recall ever having a concussion, but you know what? This is funny. So, my daughter, Macy, she got a concussion from my son with a pillow. Did you know that?
I heard you can get those things, yes.
From a pillow. She got a concussion, and then it led to some, we found out some other things, about her brain. She's missing part of it. Her head, I think.
She got that from her mama?
She might have got it from me.
Probably.
She might have got that from me, And so, again, we've got to make a biblical impact. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I wonder what people would say about the impact that I've made on them. Right. Is it good or is it bad? So recently, all right, I've told you this, I'll tell everybody else. So for the last 10 years, all right, I bought a truck. It wasn't brand new when I bought it, but it was a white Nissan Titan, 2012. All right, and I bought this truck. And over the course of that 10 years, I got this truck just like I wanted it. You know, I mean, a new paint job. I got a hood on it that was the cowl induction, and I had that open air cooler inside of it, and so it was breathing down in there, you know. And I totally redone the whole. I took all the Papa Chrome off of it, you know, the Grandpappy Chrome, and changed it to the painted grill, the painted bumpers, painted handles, painted mirror covers, you know, the whole 9 yards. I put the power steps on it because I lifted the truck 4 inches. All right, so I could get bigger wheels and tires on it. Why do we do that as men? I don't know.
Bigger's better.
I guess, but I did that, and then I had to get these the power step boards that when you open the door they come down. You know why? Because I have all these back problems,
Right.
and I have trouble stepping in, and so the little bitty bar wasn't high, it wasn't low enough for me to get up in the stupid thing. So I had to put these power step bars.
You call me
on
old.
it. I know, right? I know. And so, you know, then I put new leather interior inside of it. I mean, like,
Why don't you just buy a new one?
new exhaust. It was cheaper than the new one.
Oh, that's right. You worked at a body shop.
I
didn't you?
worked at a body shop. Yeah, we could. I had contacts, you know, but man, it was perfect. And then about a month ago, I was rear-ended. And I knew as soon as I got hit, all right, as soon as I got hit, I knew that truck was totaled. I got hit that hard. It bent the frame, bent the bed. You know, you could look at it and be like, oh, that's not that bad. But, you know, it was not going to be a truck anymore if we just tried to repair that thing. I wouldn't be able to pull and haul stuff with it. And, you know, and it hurt my feelings. You know, I was, you know, when that young boy hit me, he wasn't paying attention. I got mad. I checked on him first, but I got mad because I was like, what? You know, I'm never replacing it. Never. And I feel bad. I wonder what that boy thinks about me because, you know, he could tell I was angry about it. I mean, I was nice to him. I checked on him, but I was mad, you know, because what am I going to do? Because, you know, they're not going to give me what I had put into that thing, you know? And so, you know, that's the kind of impact, you know, if that person is listening, I'm sorry, you know, that I acted that way. I wish I didn't, but sometimes that happens to me. And then, you know, I go to file the insurance claim and I'm fighting with State Farm because they want to give me $10,000 for that truck. I mean, they said they ran these comps. Well, it ain't worth that much. Well, maybe we'll give you 11 or something like that, you know? And I'm like, it's worth more than that. I got $11,000 in modifications to it. And I got heated with them.
Yeah.
You know what? That's what the premise behind this book is we got to have fewer and fewer of those, if not any of those episodes like that.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed at the way that I acted, you know, and I can't take that back, you know, not one, you know, not at all, you know, and I'm ashamed. And what, over a truck? I can't take the truck with me anywhere, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and now I look at it, am I going to do the same thing again? What does it matter? It's a truck, you know? So I might not even get a truck now. My brother told me that, yep, this is the time Melissa's getting her minivan. You know, me and Max don't want to ride in no minivan.
Keep having grandbabies.
I know. You know, so this might be, and my brother might be right. Yeah. I can't find a truck I want, you know. I can't afford it. You know, trucks are a lot of money. My wife just might get her a minivan. We can get a whole lot more minivan than we can a truck these days. Yeah. You know, so what does it matter? And I got mad over it.
Yeah.
You know, the impact that I had, you know, I'm kind of mad at myself about it, you know, but we have those moments, you know. So I don't know if you've had them.
I had them, man. It was over something stupid. It was at one of my churches. I'm not going to say which one it was because then somebody will guess something, you know. But this guy was set on doing something else. And he was a deacon. And he was set on, this is what we're doing. And I done told him, nobody else wants that. Mm-hmm. So it came up, he made a motion in a business meeting. And at this church, I was the moderator.
Moderator,
yeah,
for the business meeting, yeah.
And so
they always make us pastors the moderators.
You know, I wasn't the moderator at two of my churches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I like that better because I can make motions. But anyway, well, the vote went terribly against him. Like him, and he stood up and he goes, if y'all want a van or what, if y'all want something, or y'all want this, or y'all want that, you better vote for this. He got up and said that. And I said, you need to sit down. I said it like that. Now, I think that was okay. But here's where I went off the rails.
Uh-oh.
When he sat down, he turned around to now my ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
And all I saw was him pointing that finger at her like this.
You don't mess with family.
Well, I thought he was letting her have it. But he was saying, listen, he was saying, he don't know who he's messing with. Da-da-da-da-da. And I went over there and got him by the shoulder and whirled him around. And I said, we can take this out back if you want to.
Oh, Rob, you didn't.
I did. I feel bad about it now. Because you know what? He got up and he walked out. And did he go to another church? No. But we made up before I moved from there.
All right.
But, and he's passed on now, but I felt awful about that later in life. I mean, just,
Oh, I know. We have those moments, right?
And like I said, I thought he was just blessing out my wife at the time, and, I've always kind of been like that. And I would, the old Rob come out,
What did you used to say? There was still a little bit left?
I still got a little flesh in me, and it's right here in this finger, and I will poke you to death with it.
Yeah, I remember you said that a lot, and and you're always, you've told me some of those stories where the flesh started to win.
Yes,
Men, we cannot let the flesh win.
Right,
we can't. The culture says that's okay, but when we stand on God's truth, and again, that's the point of the podcast is to give us those nuggets. The more we hear them, I think the more that we can will remember them. But don't we forget so quickly though in those moments?
Yes.
I mean, in the moment, we forget so easily.
Well, what does the Bible say? Whatever you feed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you get mad easy and you feed that dog instead of that spiritual dog, what do you expect?
Yeah. The other dog's coming out.
That's right. I mean, I know that. I know, I mean, have you ever done, I mean, I don't know if you probably did this when you went to the place, I'll work myself up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When I get over there, he better not say nothing to me. I'll knock him out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're ready. When you get there, you're ready to throw down. Yeah. When you ought to be saying, Lord, let me have patience. Yeah. Let me be the man that you want me to be instead of getting yourself pumped up like Rocky music's playing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was at the body shop, they put me in an office. Do you know why? Because then they could shut the door. Because when you're dealing with insurance people,
yes,
I'm telling you what, that's when my little flesh comes out. I mean, they put me in an office so they could shut the door because I tell them the truth. But what my mom told me is sometimes I don't tell the truth in love.
Right.
Ain't that what the Bible says? Yeah.
It ain't how you, what is that? It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah, it's how you say it. And again, a lesson that I'm reminded of all the time and that I fail all the time. How we say it. We're going to be talking about speech in the next episode. So we've got some more stories that are going to come out about that. But, the point here with Timothy is that he made an example as a biblical man, and so again, I believe one of the biggest reasons is because somebody invested in him. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to ask our men, who is helping you? Who is discipling you? Who's mentoring you? Who's investing in you? But who are you doing that to as well? Mm-hmm. And maybe you're saying, well, tonight, hey, I still need to learn. Well, you know what? I still need to learn.
I still need to learn.
But I'm also still to be taught, that we still need to be disciples, that we still need to invest. And so, we don't know everything. But the more we are in God's word, the more times every single day or every single week, that we can just get in God's word, open it up, and really study it. Or the Lord places people in our lives. There could be other podcasts. I listen to several podcasts, and they fill me with that. With God's truth. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with going to a church that is preaching the Bible. There's nothing wrong with that. But it still is not something that we need to neglect reading it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the smartest tool in the drawer. It takes me a while to read something and to really understand it. But that's not a reason not to. I need to just keep at it, and there's so many resources available now to help us understand things. And so we just need to tap into those resources. But if we ask God, to help us understand his word, I don't think he's going to say no.
I don't think so either.
But as biblical men, we got to do that. So we got to disciple people. We got to invest in people. And so the world doesn't need more passive men out there. It doesn't need more angry men, right? Doesn't need more self-centered men. It needs more men who are willing to become biblical examples.
Right.
And that's what I hope people get from our podcast. Men whose lives lead a godly imprint, that tupos, that thump on the head, I think, when we need it.
Yeah.
Because our homes, our churches, our children, our workplaces, our communities, they need that. They need more men. And so I want to challenge you. Find somebody to invest in you, and you invest in someone else.
Yeah.
That's the best thing that we can do. And you know what? You could start by getting a copy of MANCARD.
There you
A great tool to disciple
Yes.
somebody with. At least I think it is. Now, here's what I like about the book. It's not very thick. I don't like to read. I don't like to read other books, okay? I like to read the Bible, but other books, I'm not a fan of that always. But this is man-sized. All right. It's not a heavy read. It's not a hard read. I think I read, when I was proofing this several times, I think I read the whole book, within an hour. I'm not saying I want you to do that because I want you to digest it, but it's an easy read because I know men don't read sometimes. Don't like to read, but get this, disciple somebody with it. It's a tool in your hands to help you because there's so many of these areas. In the next episode, we're gonna start breaking this verse down. 1 Timothy 4:12. Let no one despise you for your youth, but set an example to the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. And so make that impact, make that impression. And that's why the title of this episode is The Power of Biblical Manhood, because that's the kind of strength that we need to have, is the kind that people know us for being a biblical man. So,
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to this episode?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Listen, I started doing this right
Yes.
after my divorce. I pray 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And listen, if you have a prayer request, and listen, you can private message me. I'm on Facebook, or you can send it through whatever you need to send it to me through. My number's on some of our stuff.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
and we'll probably give that out. But if you want to go on that, you'll get prayed for 3 times a day if you want to be.
Yeah.
And so I encourage you to let me know. Nobody has to know it was you or who or what.
Yeah.
It'll just be me and you. But I just want to put that out there. If you're struggling with something, let me know. I've done it. I've struggled, and just let me know how I can pray for you.
Hopefully, by the next episode, or when this actually comes out, I'm hoping to have an email that works, and they can just email you. So it'll be rob@mancard.life. I don't have it set up yet, but I'll have you an email. That way they can go to that one, and not that you don't want people to have your personal email, but but you can remember this one, rob@mancard.life.
I got
so
you.
I'm working on that. So hopefully by the time these episodes
Who's
air,
Rob?
hopefully by the time these episodes air, that'll be in place, and you'll be able to reach out. Mine is matt@mancard.life. It was working the other day. but then when I got that working, then the website crashed.
Oh man.
So now I've got somebody trying to help me fix it. So the website's back up, but the email's not working right now. So I'm working on that. But again, this is a new season of our life.
Yes.
A new platform for us that we want to help shape men to becoming, a man of God.
Yeah. Sorry about the yawning.
That's okay.
We've been running all day today,
Yes.
and I'm not used to it. So I was sitting over here.
That's okay.
You were teaching the Bible.
So that's all right. So, but as we've talked about, kind of our motto is biblical principles, real men, real life. We want to help men become men of God.
Yeah. One more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
A lucky story.
Okay, go ahead.
I got lucky so good one time.
Okay.
Me and him, we did men's retreats together
That's right.
sometimes. And we went up to Kentucky to do a men's retreat together. And I drove and he rode,
Okay.
And like I would have to pull over because I was laughing and couldn't see the road. I'd have to pull over on the side of the interstate because he had me laughing so much. So when he got there, he spoke first, and usually it was the other way around. I spoke first, and he spoke second.
Yeah.
But they wanted him to go first and me be the main guy. I was like, cool. Okay. So he gets up there, and he's making fun of me. Rob's 5'1". Yeah. I'm not. I'm 5'6". Okay. Just stuff like that. So when I get up there, I said, man, I sure do love Lucky Teague. Don't y'all love, all the men are like, yeah. I said, you know what? He's like a second grandpa to me. And he's got a daughter that's my age.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He's like a second grandpa to me.
So,
and he was like,
yeah. Nope. Yeah, Lucky. I remember him. He did a couple of our men, at least one of them. So
he did too. He did
he too? I thought he did. Okay. I thought he did. So, well, all right. Well, biblical principles, real men, and real life.